Yeah, hold on. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk about it. Ooh, that boy a critic, yeah, he talk too much. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk about it. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk too much. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk it, he don't live it. Ooh, that boy a critic. Ooh, that boy a critic. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk it, he don't live it. Ooh, that boy a critic. Yeah, I know.
Let's get started. Like this is a big setup.
It's a great setup, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna get there. You can ask me questions. You can flip it on me if you want to. Peace. Big love, big blessings, even bigger living, everything that comes with that and everything in between. You are tuned into Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. It's just a conversation. Today, got a special guest. This guest right here, Miss Ramona Chapman, is a Wichita Business Journal recognized women who lead in the financial space. This is somebody you talk to when you're trying to get your money right so you can purchase your home. One of the major decisions you can make in life, Ramona, is that go-to person. Thank you for joining us today, Ramona. How are you today? How's your spirit?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah.
I like that. I like excitement. I got to get the party started first. Y'all see we got the Don Ramon. They are not one of my sponsors, but I love to share this Don Ramon with people. So on me and wifey's anniversary, we stumbled across this tequila. I'm not a tequila drinker.
Okay.
But it's been amazing.
Okay.
And I like to share with people. So you down to take a shot of Don Ramon?
I'm down.
Oh, we going to go crazy today. I like that energy. We about to talk about everything and everything at once. So I'm going to pop the bottle. Just hit you with a splash. Nothing too crazy, Ramona. Nothing too crazy. Boom. You just want a splash or you want a puddle?
Let's do. I know what you did.
Just do that? Okay, I like that. Ah, boom. All right.
Okay.
So my favorite cheers, which I think is important because it moves past just the drinking, but it's never above you, never below you.
Okay.
Always at your side.
I like
Cheers.
that.
You like that? That was fire, huh?
That was good.
I like it.
Ooh.
What you think of the Don Ramon?
It's very smooth.
It's smooth, right?
It is smooth.
See?
I mean, I feel like I'm breathing fire a little bit, but it's smooth.
That tequila's on fire. I like it. So, Ramona, you are with JRMortgage Group.
Yep.
Talk to me. That's your joint. That's your business. That's your brokerage. Break that down for me. What is JRMortgage Group, and what do you all do?
So, JRMortgage Group, we are a locally owned mortgage brokerage here in Wichita. So myself and my business partner, Justin, we have this brokerage really to be able to offer clients the best. We want to be able to not say no. Like, if I'm being honest, like you were an example. I had to say, like, hey, guys, let me be real with you. I can get you hooked up, but it can't be with me. And that really got to me. Like, why would I have to say no? You know, so that's why I wanted to make that move to JRMortgage Group, because I have a loan that is going to fit everybody. Yeah. And we don't have those additional rules and regulations that a normal bank or some other lenders have on you. Like those, you know, you need to be at a 680 or you need to have 10% down. We don't have those types of rules. And how much can home ownership impact the community if we stop making all these additional barriers?
I like that. So for those who may not know, because y'all don't know, Ramona was somebody who helped me and my wife get started on our home ownership journey, right? I had Kerry Dunn, who's our realtor. I had him on another episode, and we were sitting chopping. And I shared that, you know, home ownership, starting that process can be daunting. It's scary as heck, right? Because you don't know what you don't know until you start it,
100%.
right? But you provided us this sheet. It was like a Monopoly board. And that in itself, like, busted the door open for us. And we were able to say, you know what, this is not as daunting as it truly is, right? When in your space, especially as a lender, because you help people get the money.
Yeah, I help people get money to buy houses.
To buy their home, right? That's important to know. She helps folks get the money to buy their homes. What does that process look like from start to beginning? I mean, start to end. What does that look like?
I will say that sometimes it can be very overwhelming, but that's why you have a great realtor and also a great loan officer to help guide you through it, you know?
For sure.
But a lot of it is as simple as getting started. I think a lot of people, they just get so overwhelmed, or they're like, you know, I just think, or I heard it was so hard that they never actually apply. But I mean, it starts with a simple 10-minute application. Yeah. They submit it, we pull credit. we run numbers. A lot of times I can say yes more than I have to say not yet. Like, we need to do these things. And then from that point on, we start gathering documents, pay stubs, bank statements. We start looking for houses. So it is a lot quicker and easier than people think. A lot of the times, I think the two biggest things that people have to worry about is finding the house and then getting me the paperwork. Because sometimes the paperwork can be daunting. I'm going to ask you for every pay stub that you'll ever get from the moment I talk to you until the moment you close.
Yeah, yes. It's real. It's real. In that, like, what is some of the biggest challenges that you find on your side? Because I tell you, like, to be told, like, you can't touch your bank account. Don't do nothing crazy. Once you submit these documents, don't do
nothing.
Don't
mess with anything.
Right?
I really think a lot of it is sometimes people get so excited. I'm buying a new house. Let me get a new car for my new garage. Let me get new furniture for my new house. I'm going to get new appliances. So they just get so excited, like that I told them yes, that all these other places are also going to approve them. So sometimes that gets them in trouble. Other times, and this is something I think a lot of people don't like talk about, like you get anxiety. Like, you are taking on all this debt. Like, this is like adulting, like real life.
To the
We're
max.
spending all this money. Like, oh my goodness. Like, you know what I mean? So sometimes it gets overwhelming, and people just kind of like, I feel like sometimes people ghost us because they just get so like stressed out. Like, they're just like, I just can't deal with this. And I'll like come back and talk to us in a week. And I'm like, I'm better now. I just relaxed, and here's everything that you have.
Yes, straight up.
So I think it's more so sometimes people just get in their own way, and they're not necessarily educated. Like, sometimes if I have buyers that, their grandparents owned a house and their parents owned a house, that's totally different than someone who, I used to be homeless and I'm the first one in my generation to buy a house. They have no idea. They're like, everybody's asking me what to do. Like, I'm the expert on this situation now. So
straight up.
I really think it's education comes down to it.
So you say education, it comes down to that. So at JRMortgage Group, you all, essentially not only serve as the loan servicers, but also financial advisors. Is that a real thing?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
With our licensing and everything, like, they, double check that we are able to give that advice. But some of it is like, we need to budget. We need to make sure that you're comfortable making this payment. I might be able to get you approved for way more than what you can afford. So I'm going to say, how much can you afford before I say, let's just go get this big ticket house. That's one. I think something that a lot of people don't realize is people have first time homes and people have fifth time homes. So like, we cannot be looking to keep up with the Joneses or what's on social media and kind of what they promote. Like, I get that a lot, and they're like, well, I don't like this house. I'm like, I get that. But what you don't realize is your friend's house, they had a first time house. They should invite you over to see your first time house. They invite you over to see their fifth house that is balling, but they had to gain equity all this other time. So like, maybe not trying to keep up with everybody. Like, we have to have starters,
Most definitely. No, that's a real thing, especially trying to keep up with everybody. We want it fast, this generation, right? Folks want it fast. The market is different. I don't know how to read the market. I'm not an expert in that space.
Well, I mean, it's highlight reels. They want to keep up with the highlights.
That's it. Nobody's watching practice.
Yeah.
Right? It's funny though, a buddy of mine, before we bought our home, and I'm eager to see your thoughts on this, especially from a financial space, right? Okay. Before we bought our home, a buddy of mine was like, yo, most times people buy houses, they get what they can afford right now without consideration. Like, life's going to look different 15, 30 years from now as that loan matures, right? So if you see yourself getting a new job or something like that, keep that in mind. Is that some advice that you would genuinely offer somebody looking to purchase a home? Or is it like, yo, stay within your means? Or, hey, stretch a little bit? Like,
I would really say I'm a big proponent of going with a budget. Okay. So if you know that your budget can stretch, then do your budget. But don't just do a budget and say it works, but then your bank account does not reflect what your budget is. Like, let's be real and say, if you can keep your budget, let's go with it. I think that a lot of times people kind of get stuck in that, I'm only going to get this house now, and they can't see the future of this house is going to turn into money for me. So this house is going to get me to house number 2 and house number 3, and they might not be able to see that goal. And sometimes even a lot more times I try to have that conversation with first time home buyers, like, I don't want you to get too caught up in this house. This house is a stepping stone, but how are we going to use it? Do you want to be an investor? Do you want to, have multiple properties? Is it something that you want to move of it? Like, what is your plan so we can amend it to you instead of just like, well, we're just going to sell you a house and go on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think I shared with Kerry, like, I feel like me and my wife were blessed in our home buying process because the home this well the crib, right? We the first one we put a bid on is the one we got,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it was like such a blessing, but I feel like we got like a cheat code or something. I don't know.
Well, yes, most people are like offering, and I mean, it's kind of, they say it slows down a little bit now, so maybe there's 5 offers instead of 20. But when you guys were purchasing, it was like 25.
It was real.
It was crazy.
Real out here.
It was crazy.
Right?
People get exhausted.
Yeah.
Think about you getting upset because you're still thinking about a home you lost 3 weeks ago, and they're like, "No, we gotta make an offer on this home," and you're like, "But I really like that." You know, like remorse is real. I've heard a lot of like people being sued about it because they're regretful that they bought the house, or they felt pressured, or they. This is horrible, and I advise against it all times. They waived inspections.
Ooh, don't waive the inspections.
That's where a good realtor comes in, because they'll tell you never waive the even if they're not going to fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, because you might walk into a sinkhole right there, literally.
Straight up. So talk us through that, right? So when we look at inspections, because you got to have, I mean, there's a plethora of inspections that have to be done. How did the inspections weigh into the cost or the value of the home and what that loan could look like?
Yeah, 100%. Well, the first one, the home inspection, that's one where your realtor, like Kerry, normally helps with and assists with. That is very important, even though it's optional.
Yeah.
Like, I send disclosures about it. Your realtor's going to send disclosures about it, because we want to make sure that you're educated. But that one could take maybe 4 hours, and they're going to check every light, every plug, everything in the house. And then if they're not an expert, but they're like, I think you should get the roof checked, they'll at least say, I think you should get the roof checked.
Word.
And that's like a 30-page document of like, here's stuff A that you need to do now. Stuff B you need to do within a year. And stuff C, this is stuff you should do in the next 5 years as routine maintenance. Yeah. But it's very much educational. And that way you know exactly, like eyes completely open, instead of just, they slapped, paint on the pig. You can really see the bones. So that's your home inspection. That's very valuable. And that's where you can negotiate like any repairs. The big one, the appraisal, that's something that is more focused on me and the loan. Okay. And that appraisal process, number one is, I don't ever want you to overpay for your house.
100%.
So we have that outside appraiser that says, hey, here's the value, and we're going to look at the condition of the property. It's not as focused on repairs. Their major repairs is what they're focused on, like mold, smoke detectors, like things that will endanger your life.
The safety.
Or safety of it.
Yeah.
Versus, but my main thing is I don't want you to overpay. Because if you overpay, I'm going to be like, hey, I know you love this house and you offered, I don't know, $200,000, but it only came in at $195. So guess what? I'm only give you a loan for $195. And Mr. Realtor, we're going to go and negotiate that down to $195 because I'm sorry, you thought it was worth that, but it wasn't. So.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
No, and those relationships are important, right? Because I can imagine in your space as a brokerage firm, you've got to have a strong relationship with either the realtors of all walks, right? From buyers to sellers.
All walks. Appraisers are essential just because they, we don't really have that much communication just because we're an influencing party. So the appraiser doesn't really talk to anybody, but they are helpful as we all have that main goal of we want to help homeowners and we want to make sure that like they don't fail. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to buy your house back. We don't want you to have problems.
Does that happen? Like you get a house sold or the terms agreed to, and it's like, you know what? Actually, this is not what we expected. The appraisal was. Sheesh.
It happens, and you know what? It's okay. Just because we'd rather everyone be 100% okay with what they're getting into than regret something.
Definitely.
And I mean, it's your house. It's not like you can just be like, I'm gonna put this in a box. I'm not gonna think about it. I'm mad that I bought this. No, it's like a house. Like this is people's lives.
100%. So as a brokerage firm, JRMortgage Group. Now, keep me honest. That's your, like, you have your own firm, your own franchise. Is that what we call it?
I wouldn't say it's a franchise, but just think of like a locally owned place or financing facility to get your mortgage versus to go to like a bigger bank.
Yeah. So what is the difference there, right? Like versus if me going to, I don't want to name drop, but like going to a Bank of America or a credit, to going to a bank versus a credit union versus going to JRMortgage Group.
Yes, of course. Well, one, I would say you don't ever get lost because you deal with us here. You deal with people in your community. I like to tell people you can roll up on us and come see us. You don't have to wait on us. Sure. We don't have like phone lines with hold times or anything like that. But really, if you think about it, if you are wanting to get a mortgage and let's say a lot of times people are like, we have to shop. We have to shop for the best of whatever product we're getting.
Yeah.
That's what we do for you. So when you apply with us, I take your information and I look with all of my lenders. I'm probably signed up with 50 different lenders, and they might have however many programs associated. So that's so many loan programs. And I'm going to look to say, okay, who's going to fit with you best? I have a specific lender if you want to live in the country. I have a specific lender if you want to, live in a high rise. So each lender is a little bit different, but I'm doing the work and I'm finding you the best rate. So you only have to deal with me. And a lot of people, I might send your loan to, a lot of people know Wells Fargo. I don't send my loans to Wells Fargo, but that's a big place that you could. But we send a majority to United Wholesale Mortgage. And a lot of people, they might not know that. They just know I'm dealing with Ramona at JRMortgage Group or one of my other loan officers, and they're going to see me through to the end. And then you know what? I'm going to call them if I have a question.
Yeah.
And we're going to facilitate that too, which is helpful. So I think a big thing is having that partner throughout the loan process. Because like you said, it's a big thing. Like, this is a big deal. And like, sometimes in our community, we're a little private. We don't want to always ask our parents for advice. If we open that gate, they might just tell us everything. You know what I mean? So how about not? I'll just call Ramona when I have a specific question and get that handled, or if I need some advice or some help. Yeah. And then we stay in touch every year. So I'm always saying like, well, what do you want to do this year? Well, what do you think, is going to happen? Or do you want to double check this? You said that maybe you wanted to be a real estate investor. So have you thought about that? Are we still planning to do that? And if so, let's go out and make that happen for you.
Dope. Oh, so it's a partnership. It's a family.
Yeah,
it's a family thing, right?
That's dope. I'm gonna know you.
That's dope.
See you at the store and be like, hello, how
Remember
is it
me?
going?
Gang. I like that. I like that energy a lot. Listen, we're gonna take a quick break, right? We're gonna take a quick break. Talk to one of our sponsors. It might be. You might look at this JR Mortgage Group commercial. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. JR Mortgage Group is a proud sponsor of Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. JR Mortgage Group is founded and based in Wichita, Kansas, and its sole focus is to offer its clients and referral partners the best mortgage experiences. Buy, build, and invest with JR Mortgage Group. With JR Mortgage Group, anything is positively possible. Give them a call at 316-247-9639 or visit the website at jrmortgagegroup.com. JR Mortgage Group Incorporated, offering personalized mortgage solutions, fast customized quotes, great rates, and service with integrity. Not all borrowers will qualify. This is not a commitment to lend. JR Mortgage Group is an equal housing lender. Again, JR Mortgage Group, jrmortgagegroup.com. Peace, big love, and even bigger blessings. We are back, and I'm here with Ramona Chapman. We are talking money, financial management, and JR Mortgage Group, and getting your money right for your home buying experience. So a question that I look at, right, and I was naive jumping into home ownership, as far as the value of your home is like, it's a major important thing because you got equity in that joint, right? Yep. Talk to me a little bit about home equity and just the benefits of that home buying experience and how it truly turns you into, you can like really, it's some bread in your home. And a lot of people aren't aware of that, right? So talk me through that.
I think a lot of people might forget that some of the like wealthiest people, how do they make their money? Real estate. Yeah. Like if everybody's doing it, it must be some sort of formula is right.
For sure.
But really, your home is always appreciating. The value is always increasing, and it's always something that you can sell. It's not like a car where it just continues to go down. It's always something that you can sell and get your money back out of. One thing that I like to tell my clients is, regardless of where that house payment is, you're paying somebody's mortgage, whether that be your landlord's, the apartment complexes, or your own. Yeah. So somebody's mortgage is getting paid off and somebody's gaining equity. And that equity, think of that as like a savings account that you can access when you need funds, whether that be I'm going to take out some of my equity to buy another house, or I'm going to take out my equity to do something else. Some people tend to use equity. I'm a little older in life and my kids are going to college and I want to use some equity for that. So there's different options to use your equity. Some people even use equity for like, as they get older and they need to like supplement income, they use equity for that. So there's a bunch of different options to use it. I think the biggest thing people tend to do is they just upgrade. So let's say I stay in one house for 5 years and I made $20,000 in equity. So I'll take that to my next house and I'll make another 20 to 40,000, and I'll take that to my next house. And that's how someone can get from, you know, a $100,000 house to maybe like a $400,000 house. And, you know, have this like flamboyant time or what, you know, like look at me in my new house or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're being able to use that, and that mortgage payment, yes, you pay it every month, but you're essentially giving it back to yourself. Like
100.
you could, I mean, why wouldn't you want to just give yourself money?
That's real. We were renting we had a nice townhome. It was a cool little spot. We were renting for a long time, and then we looked up, and this was maybe like 4 years ago, and we're like, oh, the amount that we pay them yearly is crazy, and we didn't even consider
and
it,
it's
right?
over their mortgage payment of what they're actually paying.
You feel me? Like it's bonkers. So what we ended up doing is we downsized on purpose, right? Moved into a much less attractive home, right? And we were there for a little bit, and we set the goal to be into our new home by the time the lease was over. And we were blessed and fortunate in a space to where we were able to buy our home before our lease was up. So we met our goal before the year was up, right? During the pandemic, which was even crazier. Like,
I mean, you guys set your goal. You were like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna even move somewhere else to make this happen.
You feel me?
Like, I'm gonna change my setting to make this happen. Like, I'm gonna look at this place and be like, I gotta leave.
Woo! That's legit where we were at. Like I said, especially the pandemic started while we were downsized, and so cramped space. It was just real, and so
every time you went into like a cramped room, I gotta leave.
Do you feel me?
Save some more. I gotta save some more.
It was like it was very. It was motivating. It was motivating to say the least. But is that something that you talk with folks about on your end when it comes to the finances and the planning? Right, to purchase the home, like, hey, here's what you should do before we even start to service the loan. Is that a conversation that you have with folks?
That is. I do have some clients that are like, hey, you know, my lease is going to be up, or this is my intention. And I think it's great just because you're kind of taking the bull by the horns instead of just like, let me just see what's going to happen. Because a lot of times if you don't have a plan, you're never going to achieve where you're going. You're not going to hit that destination.
Facts.
And I kind of describe it as like, if you're driving in a car and you don't know where to go, you're just never going to go anywhere.
Looks like you're going somewhere, but you are going nowhere.
You're literally going nowhere. I don't know. Yeah, you don't know where you're going.
Yes.
But if you would have known, you would have saved up more, or you would have tried to do these little tips that I'll tell you to get your credit score higher, or you would have done this or that, or been like, dang, I should have waited on that car. Like, I didn't need a new car. I just impulsive. I should have waited, and I wish I would now, you know, different things like that as far as, you know, planning. And I think just being like, you know, just being open about like, this is where I'm at and this is where I want to be. So let's figure out how to get there.
For sure. How challenging is it? Because again, you talked earlier about the pride and people don't want to talk money, right? How challenging is it to get folks to be extremely transparent about their financial means and what you can do, how they can improve it, and what you can do on your end to assist? Like, how challenging can that conversation get?
It can get pretty challenging, especially if, like, I mean, just think about some of the worst scenarios. Like, we have two like a couple, and one doesn't know the other situation and vice versa. I mean, okay, now we're getting some real life stories. But other times it's more of like, you know, even if you offer that advice and coming from a place of like, if you come humbly, like, hey, I just want to, like, if you're open to this, I have some tips. And if they say yes, then they've already opened that door. Instead of coming off like, you know, I'm just going to educate you on what you need to do. I think if you empower people and say like, this is where we can go, and really be motivating. I think the biggest thing is like, hey, I don't want you to feel bad about your credit score. I don't want you to feel bad about your predicament, because you know what? I've seen lower credit scores, and guess what? They still got a house. So like, you can do it. Like, we got a plan. Like, let's just get excited about it.
I like that. So credit is a real thing, right? And how important does credit come into what you provide your clients?
Yeah. Well, credit is the only way, you know, credit is like the report card of adults.
Facts.
And so
a lot of people got F's. Real life. But they don't seek a tutor, right? It's real.
Well, they don't seek a tutor, or no one else has gone to credit school to teach them.
Yeah.
You know, that's something else. I really think that a lot of times, you know, that's young, dumb. They were young, dumb, and broke, and they did a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I write what's called a letter of explanation in my industry, where we try to explain how we were young, dumb, and broke. But we got it together now.
Right.
Got our job right. Look at my credit history in the past 2 years. Don't look 5 years back, but look 2 years back, I'm doing great. So that aspect it does make a difference as far as the loan program that you do. I go down to 500.
Oh wow.
So I go down to 500.
Dope.
And if we're at 500, if we're under 580, okay, we got some serious stuff. Like if we're that, we had some serious stuff. Doesn't mean you can't get a house, but it means that we have to do some additional work to show your commitment level to buying this house. You know what I mean? But then once we get over 580, things become a little easier. Down payment becomes a whole lot less. And then as you get higher and higher, the payment just, your terms become a little better. Word. A lot of people think like your rate becomes drastically better. It's not going to drop like 5 points. But what gets better is the terms, possibly some of the fees, some of the programs that are available for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, they might not even come in with a terrible score. They might be at 620, but you know what? I really want to get that USDA loan. If I live on the outskirts, and I'll get, 0 down. So we need to get over 640. So it's not like, everybody who needs tips is super low. It's just, they just got to get from point A to point B to get with what they want. I know a lot of times I have clients that are like, well, maybe I should just wait. Maybe I should just wait. And, my credit score is, let's say, 600 now, and I'll wait till I'm at 700.
Yeah.
Do you know how long that takes to get to 700?
It's a minute. Sheesh.
Like, get from 600 to, 640, maybe it's a couple months, but 700 takes, some year. I mean, it could take at least, a year or two. That's a long time to be waiting versus making equity. Makes sense.
So you talk going from 6 to 700 and how that could take a long time. What are some of the most impactful things people can do that benefit their credit, and what are things folks should avoid, right? That have that huge negative impact on their credit.
Yeah. The top one that will help and that will hurt you: high credit card balances. So if your credit card balance is 300, do not have a balance between 280 and 350. Okay, now we're over. The over limit is horrible, but even if we get up close, because credit is so fickle. They're like, I want to see that you can have it, that it's available in your wallet, but I really don't want you to use it.
Word.
The prime time for that $300 credit card might be somewhere closer to $90. They only want you to have a $90 balance because they're like, you're not using it very much. You can easily pay it off. It's just something where it's like you have it, but you don't depend on it. That would be a big one. I would say, don't be scared about student loans. Just do not go in default. Answer the phone when they call. Make sure you respond.
Word. You
cannot go get a federal backed loan, an FHA loan, a USDA, a VA loan, and be in default with the federal government. Because they'll check that. They'll be like, no, you're over here in default. So I'm not going to go.
They're going to pull up on you.
So that one, I think those are just easy little tips. I mean, other things are just, make sure you're making your balances on time, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I know a lot of times people get they might have collectors calling them, but you can be empowered to say, no, you can stop calling me.
Word.
Don't call me. I don't think that I owe this bill. I demand proof that I owe it. Demand proof.
Word.
And now they have to send it to you. If they don't send it to you, guess what? They legally have to take it off.
No doubt.
Yeah,
and that's probably something a lot of folks don't know.
Yeah, they don't know that you have to prove that you owe the bill, and then therefore you can prove that you are required to pay it. Because if you can't prove it, you have to have receipts.
And how often does that work? I mean, let's say I do owe somebody.
Yeah.
Right, because it's real. Right, but let's say I do owe somebody, but I demand that proof from the creditor. How often is it like, okay, we're not, that's a hassle, we're just going to waive it?
I'd probably say it probably happens maybe I don't know, maybe 50 to 40% of the time you can get that removed. Just because the creditor might have sold your first collection to someone else, and they sold it to someone else, and you might not even know who you owe at the end of the day, and neither do they.
Gotcha. It's like a game of telephone.
Yeah.
Word. That's real. That's a real thing. Challenge it. Don't be afraid. Like that's the thing that I encourage folks, right? And in real life, you're pretty chill. You're good peoples, right? So relax. Go holler at Ramona and just relax and be real. Be 100% and put it all on the table and see what you eat. I like that. So JRMortgage Group, how long have you had it? How long have you been operating with JRMortgage Group?
Operating since March of 2020.
Okay, see, when I Googled it, I couldn't find the date. And I don't like not knowing my stuff, right? I like to be the guy that did the research and is on point. So March 2020 is when you jumped in that space.
Yeah.
So that's pandemic or start of pandemic. I don't know if we're still in the pandemic. It's
It was
still
kinda-
real.
I mean,
Monkeypox and
I
it's
felt
still
like
out there,
it. Yeah, I mean,
right?
It's some pandemic now.
It's real. What are some of the changes that you've seen since 2020 when things shut down, right? Compared to now, it's 2022 in the summertime. What are some ebbs and flows that you've seen in your space?
Yeah. I really think the biggest changes that we've seen is, of course, the home prices. Like, because of what happened during COVID, during 2020, it's definitely risen the prices.
Yeah.
On the flip side, a lot of people gained equity if you already were a homeowner.
Word.
On the other side, if you weren't a homeowner, now it's pricier to get into that space. Another thing is build prices, just because the homes cost more now, the labor costs more, the materials cost more. So all of those things are trickling down to the buyer to where it is costing more. And then if we look at it reverse, the landlords are like, bet. We're going to raise home prices. Let's raise rent too.
It's real. It's real. I had Brandon Johnson on here, and one of the things that he's talking about tackling is slumlords, right? Because I knew it, but you don't realize what you don't realize. I didn't know it was that cutthroat out there.
Ramona, I got to get out of my house. My landlord doesn't fix anything. I just spent $1,000 because I needed my toilet to be working, and that's terrible. That's the $1,000 that they're saving to get their stuff. Right.
Oh, that's ugly. So I champion this interest rate that we were able to lock into. It's like 3%, and now it's up to like 6%. I think. I don't know. I'm not looking as much.
It's fairly high. Yeah. I would say we're not 3%.
It's real. So I hear folks say it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. What's the difference?
So the difference is who has the advantage. So I would say the people who think HGTV is real, we're going to go see 3 houses and we're going to offer $40,000 under, and I'm going to ask you to fix this stuff. That would be a buyer's market, because the sellers are like, how can I cater to buyers? How can I bring you to my house?
Okay.
Versus a seller's market, the seller's like, okay, how many people can I get to offer on my house? Okay, up it. Yeah. And that's a seller's market, is where they're like, there is someone, I know the statistics, but I think there was only about, I want to say maybe 1,000 to 900 listings versus so many buyers that we have. I know my company alone, we probably have maybe several hundred. I'd probably say like maybe 600 or 700 pre-approved people. They just can't find houses, or guess what? They get exhausted because they keep losing houses.
Yeah.
And that's a seller's market, is when the sellers are like, I don't have to do anything. Don't ask me to fix it. Oh, is it broke? I take it or leave it, because the next person's going to be here. Somebody's in line behind you.
Wow. That necessity piece.
Yep.
Question I always, that I think about when it comes to buying homes, because again, I go back to our process. We were like blessed and lucky. First home we bid on, we got there were bunny rabbits in the back, so I'm like, yo, this is the spot. Like, this is a sign of life. Like, it's just a great neighborhood. But it was the same day we put our bid in. That night, everything started moving, right?
Yeah.
And I joked with my wife, like, I think it's because we were on the porch and they seen us on the ring light. We're like this big happy family, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the real deal. But in your space, and I asked Kerry the same thing, and he had a long answer, which people could see if they go watch that episode right now. Not right now, because we're talking Ramona. But something that he mentioned is that he advises against the emotional side of buying or selling, like make it make sense. Do you find it any type of emotion attached to the home people want to buy, or even folks that may accept the offer? Like, there's an emotional thing there.
I think a lot of times what Kerry said is very valid. I feel like people try to do that, but sometimes they can't. I'm thinking more on a seller side. Like, let's say if it was like an elderly couple and then they left that house to their kids, those kids are attached. Like, they're much more like, I want to see this house go to a good family. Like, I want to see this house like being used, instead of like, they might say, I don't want it to go to a landlord. I don't want it to go to someone who's not going to love on it and take care of it. I think that buying a house, as far as like the house being the emotional piece, I feel like Kerry was right about that. Like, there's so many houses. We can find a house.
Word.
I think that I often tell people buying a house like having a baby.
Facts.
Like, oh my, this is going to be so fun. Like,
it's like 9 months at once.
Like, this is going to be great. Oh man. Okay. Man, this is rough. Oh my, Ramona just asked me for all my paperwork. I don't even know where half of it is. I don't know where my W-2s are. Like, oh my goodness. And then Kerry's like, man, we gotta look at this house. And it's a part-time job. Feels like a part-time job. Feels
Yeah.
like you're doing a lot of stuff. It just gets more and more and more. You're trying to do outside stuff. I'm asking you for stuff. Your realtor's asking you for stuff. You're like, I'm trying to figure out my logistics of moving, guys. I don't know if you realize, but I got to take off of work for this. You know, like it's a lot of things going on. You're spending all that money. And then it kind of comes and it just gets like a little rougher. And I mean, like you're planning this big time. And guess what? This is all happening in like a month. So we're just like compacting this all in a month. And then you like, bam, buy a house. And it's like you get your baby. And it's like, oh, this is great. This is nice. And then after that, like you're like, it wasn't that bad. And you know, when you have like a second child, I mean, those of you who have kids, you'll know that second child was a lot easier. You were like,
facts.
I'll drop you all and park the car, come right back.
Straight up.
And that's how it is buying a house. That first time, you're like, I don't know anything about this, but we're just gonna we're gonna go for it. We're gonna figure it out. And then after that, you're like, it's good.
Yes, no, that's real. I appreciate that insight because it's important, and I want folks to be able to look at this and go buy a home or take that fear off, right? That anxiousness off of that comes with that. So switching gears, but not necessarily switching gears. Yeah. Right. You are a Black woman obviously, right? Look at that, right? But no, straight up in a white male dominated industry, right? What are some challenges that you come up against that to get your work done effectively without the extras and et ceteras that may come with it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of dissect it from any area. I really think kind of some of the things like day to day, I want to say possibly misinterpretation or, what's ironic, you say that sometimes it's easier for me to resonate with a client who does not know me from Adam. Word. And they will listen to what I say versus someone who does know me just because maybe they know me and they don't think I have the cred on this side of it. I think really getting into this business, I didn't see anybody like me. Like I didn't see anybody that looked like me. I figured out that there were a lot of women. I don't know if you know this, but Wichita is a woman-dominated mortgage. Like there's
not even just mortgage, right? I talk about the Wichita Renaissance thing, right? And from an entertainment space, from a business space, from Christina Long to Danielle Johnson, my wife, Felicia Thompson, right? The different things that women do in the Wichita culture is like, y'all run shit. Real life. Right? So
it's like it's a bigger thing. But I really think most of the time, I'm not one to say like, oh man, I'm like keeping tally on these different marks. But I think a lot of times when you do that count in the room, like who all is here, who all looks like me, or like, keeping myself at a, real talk, like I feel like a higher standard, like, cause I gotta make this work. I can't mess this up.
Word.
Like I'm the only one in the room. I can't mess this up. I don't want to mess it up for someone generations down the road.
Definitely. You setting the standard, like you said.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself? So I used to do diversity work, and I think I still do diversity work because it's important, but I don't do it professionally. It's not like my day to day. But some of the stats that I would share and I would train folks on is that Black women, more than anybody in the workspace, cover the highest. Right? You guys hide who you feel like you have to not show who you truly are, right? Which reduces productivity, which is not cool, right? Which is dope as fuck when you think about it. If you're giving me 75% of your dopeness, what's gonna look like for you at 100%, right? Yeah. How often do you find yourself having to shrink or conform to the environment or the room, or are you like, nah, you're gonna get all of this?
All of this. I really think. I would say now that I have my own business, that's definitely something that I don't have to do. I routinely say, you know what, I'm a lot, and maybe I'm not a lot. This is just who I am, and I'm gonna tell you my opinion, and I'm gonna put it out there. Like, and I can be a lot and know exactly what I want to say, but I can also be a very emotional person. I'm a real person. I feel like a lot of times some people say you gotta be like hard or tough, or I'll be real hard. I'll be real emotional. You know what I mean? I think. A lot of it is, I'm definitely always still learning. I know at past jobs, I definitely felt like I had to shut that off. Like at past jobs, one example I had to shut, and this is why I left this job, is because my boss said, "Hey Ramona, what do you think about this Halloween costume?" Look at your face. You know what I said? I said, I'm going to say no. That is not appropriate.
Yeah.
And then that resulted in me not getting invited to that party. That's okay. Don't invite me to your party. But still continuing to go and do that. And I mean, I feel like we all know what Halloween costume they did or what that genre was. But that's not something that's acceptable. And then to go as a superior to make that rule or place that upon me as your guide. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes even just the slight touch of like, you don't need to touch my hair. I had that happen recently. I don't need you to touch. No, we don't need to touch my hair.
100. Listen, microaggressions are a real thing.
Yeah.
And folks don't realize it until you course correct. And it's
100%.
like, once I've corrected you, you can't get that shit off again. Excuse my language. But I cuss a lot. Hey, you can't get that shit off now that you know better.
Now you definitely know. 100%.
No, that's real. Listen, I had another question, especially in that space.
Yeah.
How do you find yourself seeking like mentees, right? Folks that look like you to bring them up, or just women in general, right? Because again, it's an important part. Like, do you find yourself there?
I would say I want to, but not as of yet. I will be 100% real. Like, I have like some job postings and things like that, but I'm not getting as much, and it could be the demographic, but I'm not getting as much of women or women of color or just people of color in general for some of those jobs. And that could just be, lack of getting it in the right spaces or lack of people thinking that they could do something like that. I know that, and it's kind of been brought to my attention recently. Like, I always feel like now being a business owner, like everybody's always talking about me. Like, I feel like everybody's always in my business. Like, oh man, what did you hear about me now?
Word.
But on the good side of that, some people have told me like, man, I heard you did really good things, or like, I want to be a loan officer like you. So I think that's happening. And I definitely want to set that in place because, I'm really big on my culture at my I was going to say job, at my business. Like, I'm really big on my culture because I want my employees to like to come to work and like who they work with. And I want them to be able to be and see everybody. Yeah, to see everybody. And I know it's not common to have, a black woman as your boss, and you're going to hear my stuff. You're going to see my hair switch up.
The whole shebang.
40 times in a year.
Let's get into that a little bit more, actually, right? Especially in the workspace. We're going to take one more quick break before that, but I want to get on that because you hit on something right there. Check out this word from our sponsors. Whether you are buying or selling a home, sometimes the most important decision that you're going to make is finding the right agent and choosing the right agent to represent you throughout the entire process. Well, Kerry Dunn is that guy. Kerry's with Next Home Excel and is a licensed real estate agent and has been in the game for the past 15 years. Kerry is one of the top producing agents in Wichita and the surrounding areas as well. Listen, buying a home is a big investment, and it's important to have a full-time experienced agent working with you, having your best interest at heart. You can definitely count on Kerry to be responsive to all of your needs, to be knowledgeable about the entire transaction, from contract negotiations to home inspections to appraisals to close. Visit kerrysold.com if you're looking to buy you a new home right now. If you're selling a home, it's equally important to align yourself with an experienced agent who will walk you through the critical stages of pricing your home correctly, as well as preparing that property for the market. At Next Home Excel, they have the best tools in the industry to help you showcase your home to get the most exposure, including professional photography, 3D walkthrough, plus more. Again, visit kerrysold.com. Peace, big love, and big blessings. We are back, and I'm with Ramona, and we are talking, right, bringing your full self to the workspace, right, and being your full self. So how important is that, right? What gave you the confidence or the gall to be your full self in the workspace?
I really think that as I've gotten older and matured, and a lot of it has to do with like as you kind of come into your own and come into your own confidence. And I'm not one to say that I have all this confidence, but as you do that, you just kind of feel more comfortable with yourself. And then, being a business owner, I'll be honest. It's at the end of the day, it's like, it's my stuff. Like I have to do this, so I'm gonna act how I kind of want to act, and that also allows for other people to see all facets of me, all the, I can be assertive and direct, and I know exactly what I want. I can also be emotional, and I can be, I feel like some people, if you're direct, then you can't be like feminine and girly. I'll be all those sides.
100%.
I'll be dynamic. You'll be like, what is she gonna do next? Who knows?
Yes. No, and as a leader, that's important to be able to. I practice empathy and accountability. Like I get it. I'm with you. Whatever you're going through in life, I hear you. Right. I know what that's like. But at the same time, if you're here, I got to hold you to win.
Yeah.
I was once told I'm too nice in the workspace because I tell folks this is the same tone I'll use to give you kudos and praise, and the same tone I'll give you corrective action on. Right, or have to term you on, because that your output doesn't change my output. I'm here to live. You're here to live. So, yes, that's important. Question for you. So, have you had a mentor in this space? Right.
Yes, I would definitely say that I've had a mentor. I feel like I've had mentors. I've had multiple people throughout my life that I feel like have given me bits and pieces to get me where I am. Most recently, and I even mentioned her in that Business Journal article, is that I had a mentor at my last company, and she really, I went to that company because she was there. She was going to be my supervisor, and I felt like we clicked. But then also she taught me how to do loans, but she also taught me how to navigate in that space of being a woman in finance, of having to adhere to bureaucracy, or coming in and addressing something in this fashion. And I know sometimes, we're like, well, we shouldn't have to amend ourselves to fit in this box. But if I want to get in the room, I got to fit in the box to get into said room.
Word. No, that's important. Getting in. After that, you can break the box.
Yeah.
Right. Once you know what you're getting.
I just need to be at the table, and then let me turn it over.
You feel me? Let me flip this joint. No, that's straight up. So, JRMortgage Group. The culture there is crazy.
Yeah.
I've seen the videos. Y'all go nuts. Y'all have a blast. How important is that to the results?
Well, it's very important. I mean that we all want our staff to be invested in our success, and we try to do that with transparency. I say that we're like on this hyper speed train, and I'm giving everybody the itinerary so we know what we're doing, so we know that goal. So we know that plan of action. I feel like if I'm a big planner, if you don't have a plan, then you don't have any way to get there. And everybody wants to know what's up. I mean, everybody has questions, and that's okay. But that team bonding is, I feel like we work hard. Yeah. Like we work hard and we play hard. And, sometimes people might not see it on our TikToks that we have fun, or they think that we just have too much fun. Word. What they don't see is that we're up there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm there till 9 o'clock at night, or we're over here helping in this or doing that. So we want to show that we're also a dynamic office to where we're going to be serious and we're going to help you buy a house, but we're also going to be like, hey, what's up? Like, you catch the game? Like, how's it going? Like, we're real people, and we want to be real, and we want to make impacts in the community that are also real.
I like that. The culture at JRMortgage Group is somewhere you definitely want to be. So if you're looking for a job, holla at them ASAP. If you can do it, if you fit the qualities, JRMortgageGroup.com, that's where to go. Listen, Ramona, I won't hold you. I'm gonna close this out, right? And I've got a big question for you. After all of your winnings, this is a question. I got a list of questions that I draw from to close the call out.
I like them.
After all of your winnings, you've been in this since 2020, survived the pandemic with your own firm, right? You got your employees, y'all have a blast at work, producing great results. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night? Oh, man. I mean, if you would have asked me before I owned a company, you would probably say, oh, loans and everything. I'd say now, I just get so excited. I mean, even my staff might be like, Ramona is on something, because she's emailing me at 10 o'clock at night, like 20 million ideas of like, we need to do this. I'm excited to see what they're doing. Let's do this. So that energy and that excitement and passion is definitely something that I'm excited about. It's definitely something when you have a place that you can just kind of like create and grow and do really good things with, and just be able to pour into that. So I really like that. And I feel like it keeps me up at night, but it's also good things. I'm like excited. I'm like, did you see all my emails? I know you just walked in, but like, you should go check your emails and then come back to me.
Yeah, you didn't respond to my email. Make sure you respond to my email now in person, and then go respond online. That's real. That's excitement. I love that. And that's contagious too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's a shadow of a leader. That is extremely important, because more times than not, people work for the person, not the company. And when you're able to work for somebody that is just as passionate, if not more passionate than you are, then it makes coming to work easy. So high fives. I love that. Last question, and then, because y'all know, Ramona got some loans to go get right. 10 years ago, what would you tell your younger self?
10 years ago, I would say, to say what you want quicker. To say what you want quicker, and to, don't apologize. Don't apologize for being yourself.
100. I love that. I love it. Listen, Ramona, I appreciate you taking the time to share the things that y'all are doing at JRMortgage Group, giving some financial tips, right? So folks know how to navigate when they're looking to purchase their home, as well as making sure women know, hey, you don't have to cover in the workspace, right? Be you, bring your full self, bring your full professional self, and they can kiss your ass if they ain't loving it. You didn't say that. I'm putting in words there, right? But it's a real thing. So I appreciate you. The community values you. We thank you for all that you offer and provide. Continue to elevate this thing, and I'll be champion and referring folks your way if somebody asks me where to go get their loan service. So.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me. Like, I think this is this is awesome.
Thank you.
You're doing big things.
Thank you. Oh, we just getting started, and I received that. Listen, this is Thinking Out Loud with Samuel David. Peace, big love, Q Critics.
Yeah, hold on. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk about it. Ooh, that boy a critic, yeah, he talk too much. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk about it. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk too much. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk it, he don't live it. Ooh, that boy a critic. Ooh, that boy a critic. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk it, he don't live it. Ooh, that boy a critic. Yeah, I know. How you never there, but be the first to offer commentary. I mean, nobody asked you. All your conversation is voluntary. And you talking to yourself, playing with yourself, solitary. I mean, it kinda makes sense if this talk increased your monetary. But you out hating for free, you do that shit so well. Next time you speak on me, say my name. It rings bells. You know me. I don't need no introduction in this bitch. You know me. I'm the one that keep it jumping in this bitch. Young OG, streets gave me that name. I was honored. I be walking how I talk it. When I walk it, got them bothered. I don't understand, dog. I really took it farther. I gave niggas the game. Plus, I'm a really great father. Oh, he think he Siskel. Oh, he think he Ebert. First it was all love, now he Brutus to my Caesar. First it was all love, now he Judas to my Jesus. Praying on my downfall, you're such an overachiever. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk about it. Ooh, that boy a critic, yeah, he talk too much. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk about it. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk too much. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talk it, he don't live it. Ooh, that boy a critic. Ooh, that boy a critic. Ooh, that boy a critic, he just talking, he don't live it. Ooh, that boy a critic.